when you introduce yourself to somebody, do
Mhm.
you refer to yourself as a fantasy football expert or a fantasy football analyst? And you and I kind of talked about this before we pressed record. How do people respond to your title?
I don't even know how do I introduce myself? I like people like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I talk about fantasy football for the NFL. So I've dumbed it down even more. Like I don't even give
Yeah,
myself a fancy title. Like I'm not a sandwich artist. I just work at Subway. That's sort of how it
totally.
works.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, so that's sort of how I talk about it. I think when for the most part, people are like, oh, that's cool. And I think there's sort of this thought or this emotion of wow, you actually get paid for that, which funny story, because I remember like years ago, I've been at the NFL for 12 years now.
Yeah.
But when I first got hired, I remember I called my dad and was just like, hey, so I'm going to be writing about fantasy football at the NFL. His first question was, what's fantasy football? And I had to kind of explain the basics of that to him, and then I explained what I did, that hey, look, I'm the one who's giving people advice on who to start and sit and add and whatever. And he got real quiet for a second, and he's like, they're gonna pay you for that, huh? I was like, yeah, man, I'm just as surprised as you are. So, I mean, I think a lot of people look at it as like, hey, that's kind of cool. It seems like a lot of fun. Seems like a lot of people's dream jobs, and I guess it is. But it's I never planned on this as being a career. Like I said, I've been here 12 years, 13 seasons. I never anticipated that I would have this as a career, or that this would be the longest I've ever been at one job in my life.